Peace. This is Black Dot, author of Hip Hop Decoded and my latest offering, Urban Culture Decoded. Between now and the new year, this book will be $10 plus shipping and handling. It makes for a great Christmas, Kwanzaa, or holiday gift for a young or old person who loves to read. This book will go in depth into our entire culture, from hip hop to the grocery store, to the barbershop, to the liquor store. I advise you to get this copy between now and the new year, because then the price goes back up. It can be purchased at iDecoded, that's idecodeit.com, for a limited time only. Peace.
Welcome back to Urban X TV. We have the Black Dot in the building with us today.
Yes, peace.
So, today he's going to give us a review and a breakdown of sorts on the movie If Beale Street Can Talk. He went to see it a couple of weeks ago, right?
Absolutely. And then I went to see it again.
He went to see it again. It had such a great impact on him that he's been telling everybody who would listen to go see that movie.
Everybody who will listen, I'm telling you to go see this movie. Take your significant other to see this movie. Young people in particular need to see this movie. Young people who are trying to find love and find their way into the world. This movie was magnificently done. Barry Jenkins did a masterful job. He should win the Oscar. I don't need to see no more movies. That's how dope this movie was. Bobby Hemmett, one of my elders, used to tell me that they never really showed black love on the big screen because it was too melanated. Right. And the energy of love is the highest vibration in this specific universe. And when it's manifested and is showed in such a way that it rattles those who can't reach those vibrations. And this is that specific movie that pulled that off. Now, when we speak about love, I like to always reference Dr. King, because his theory of love was in place. But he was preaching the theory of love in the midst of chaos and hate by those who could never reach the vibration of love. So therefore, it made him look like he was crazy. Right. He wasn't crazy in theory, that if my vibration is of the highest sort, those below me can't reach me and I'll elevate. It's easier said than done when I got white folks water hosing me, sicking dogs on me. Then I have to revert to what Malcolm said is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So that's why most of us levitated, who are of a militant sense, to Malcolm. Right. But as I got older and the wisdom and understanding of the highest elevation, which is love, I gave Martin a little bit more credit than I had gave him during those times. So with that being said, this movie, first-time actress Kiki Lane, and I forget the young brother's name. Stephen James. The chemistry is undeniable. When the movie comes on, the chemistry immediately. You don't get to see highly melanated young women with naturals. Dark-skinned melanated sister with natural. Now, the movie takes place in or around 74, so you can say that was a common thing. Right. But the common theme in the movie is that what was taking place then is taking place now. So it's a timeless movie and a love story about two young people who were best friends first from childhood, who became soulmates, who fell into this high vibration of love, who had to support and endear a lot to keep that love in place. And when I tell you the empty spaces in the movie, going back to Barry Jenkins, the way he directed this movie, there's not a super bunch of dialogue. Everything he says meant something, but there were a lot of empty spaces with the music by Nicholas Britell. Nicholas Britell, I believe his name is, did a masterful job with the score in this movie. When the score meets the acting, you have a masterpiece on your hand. And the score alone is enough for you to place yourselves within the characters, because the empty space is left for interpretation. Right? They didn't rush anything. He kept moving the camera. He kept gliding the camera from character to character to give you a chance to take a deep breath to know what was coming next. There were no quick, ha, ha, none of those kind of scenes in the movie. And it is an amazing, amazing body of work. Underlining that was family. You know what I mean? Her family, her mother, her father, and her sister, who truly supported. Now she's 19, and you know she finds out that she's pregnant by Fonny, as they called him in the movie, Fonny, and the family's response was amazing. You know, it was taken aback for a second, but then they did what families do, especially during those times. They gathered and they rallied around her. There's a scene, even in the trailer, where the father said, he started laughing. It looked like he's crying. I hope it's a boy. And the look on her face when he said that was validation. We got you. And then he calls her over. No worries. You're a beautiful young daughter. We got you. And it was amazing to see, because during those times in the 70s, that's all we had was family. There was no chasing the bag. There was no, none of this social media stuff that engulfs so many young people today. It was family, and that's all it was. And whether you was in jail, whatever you was going through, you always knew that family was there, and family would be there to protect you and help you through your journey. Now, the crazy thing about it, in this specific movie, the families grew up together. So that's another aspect of love that gets overlooked now. Young people, we fall in love and we don't even know, because you're not just marrying her or him or engaging them, you're engaging their family. So if you want to know about him or her, you need to know about the family, what tree they come off. And back in the days, it takes a village. There was always a sense of, we're doing this together. Now, her family had a different perspective. In the movie, they were very religious, except for the father. Right. You had two fathers who were joyous that his son and his daughter were joining a union, you know what I mean? And the highest expression of their love was the new birth, and they were happy. You know, we're gonna go out and drink, man, and have a good time. And the mother of Fonny, she was highly religious. So for her, because they weren't married, this was a sin. You know how you have these very religious, and even her daughters were extremely uppity. And, it's an amazing scene when Regina King, who should win an Oscar for this as supporting cast, she represented motherhood. You know what I'm saying? The elder. And when she first told her husband, they were all sitting at the table, she said, bring out the liquor. Well, what's going on? Well, we celebrating. Well, what we celebrating? We celebrating to new life. What's her name? Whatever her name was, Kiki, whatever her name was in the movie, I forget, is gonna have Fonny's baby. And they all kind of looked, and the husband was like, ooh, okay, like, so how did this happen? And this and that. But the way Regina King mastered the situation and looked at him and said, have a drink, it's okay, it calmed him down. And then there was a scene where Kiki was bowing her head, and her sister said, unbow your head, sister. Like, you wear this. You're young, but we're going to be here to support you. And it just really set the tone for what family is. And, can it be that it was all so simple then? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We went out and played. It took a village to raise each and every child. Right. You could be chastised by your neighbor, and when your mother came in, you can get chastised again. We looked out for each other, knocking on somebody's door. My mother would send me with a note to somebody's house to get sugar or eggs, and we just fed each other. And then maybe your family needed something, and my mother had her food stamps, right, or whatever the case, and we just fed each other. And nobody knew that we was poor, because we were all in the same condition. You know what I'm saying? One or two kids might have had a little bit more, maybe both of their parents and this and that. And this ties back into the parent situation too, because Fonny is accused of a crime he didn't commit. And he has to now sit in a prison cell. So now their love has to manifest with him and her not being able to have physical contact, but now they have to have spiritual and emotional contact. And that the movie takes a different turn when this takes place. And it also is a snapshot of how the black woman has always been there for the black man. You know what I mean? Right. Through trials and tribulations, has always been there and stood by her man, especially when she knew he couldn't have possibly did what they were accusing him of. Right. You know, so we have scenarios where, you know, police are you know, framing him and this and that. So she has to go through this journey of carrying this seed by herself without the physical touch of the man that she loves so much. You know what I mean? And you see him psychologically go through so many different stages. When he first get there, I think I'm gonna get out, and then, you know, some things happen and they keep postponing the trial and postponing, and you see the wear and tear of what was happening to him, and it became traumatic. But the movie flashes forward and back, so you get to see a lot of quality time with him, Fonny, and Kiki. And boy, the magic they have when they stared at each other. Everything was about them. They didn't see anybody else. He kept his hand, you know, he kept holding her hand. Something as subtle as holding his girl's hand was really magnified in this movie. And their love for each other was really, really undeniable of how, you know what I'm saying, they manifested to that point. And of course, there's a magical scene where there's a lovemaking scene, the very first lovemaking scene between these two characters. And it's the greatest love scene I've ever seen in a movie. And it's what love for young people is supposed to be about. You know what I mean? You know, the subtle touch, the patience, the I know this is love, because in there's a book I read called The Science of Love. John Baines, you know what I'm gonna say? It's in your library. It's a very good book dealing with hermetic principles, dealing with love, and he speaks about the very first time a man enters the woman for the very first time. There's a cup that once he ejaculates in her, it closes forever. And that cup holds that specific experience. So that's why it is important for a young woman, if she can control it, to make sure that her very first experience is filled with love and honor and respect for that counterpart. Not I was drunk, or I just wanted to get this done, and it you know what I mean? Because you, no matter how many other experiences you have after that, that first experience is critical. So you start thinking about young people who may be raped or violated, and that's their first experience. They have to carry that vibration for the rest of their life. You know what I mean? But in this movie, with the score and the love that you can feel, I started boo-hooing when the movie came on. They showed an overhead shot of something simple of him walking with his young woman and discussing the future. And he asking her, "Are you ready for this?" And she said, "I've never been more ready for anything in my life." You know what I mean? And it just flashes you back to that first time you thought you knew what love was, and you didn't want to see nobody else, and you couldn't wait to be in the midst of this person. Barry Jenkins took that to a whole nother level. And the backdrop of it is he's accused of a crime he didn't commit, and they're trying their best to restore his honor, but the family never wavered on who he was. You know what I'm saying? Regina had to travel all the way to Puerto Rico because the number one witness was the lady. She had fled to Puerto Rico. This is a spoiler alert. You got to go see this movie, because me explaining it to you is not doing the movie any justice. That's how good the movie was. So I can explain all these pieces, and still you have to go see it and experience it. And, you know, she's going out there for her son-in-law. This man wants to marry my, and I watched him grow up. He did not do this, and it led to some other stuff. And when I tell you, everything about it was amazing. The way the cameras moved, flowed, the sound, the story, all in the backdrop of love. There's a couple of scenes. There's an invisible refrigerator scene that I think captures the potential of when a man has a vision and his woman don't see the vision, but she believes in him. You know what I mean? So he has to paint a picture of what this could possibly be, but he doesn't actually have, you know, the things around him to do so.
Right.
And to watch her say, I don't know, Fonnie, and then go, well, if you believe in this, then I believe in this. And, you know, he's walking down the street with his lady and he throws his hands in the air like nothing can be greater than this moment. And then to see her joy in his joy. And he was an artist. You know, he carved, you know, little masterpieces out of wood. And, you know what I mean? So he represented the artist and she just wanted to be with him. Then there's a scene where he met his friend. Hadn't seen his friend in years. And that's also a deep aspect in the movie. Her name is Tish. I've been calling her Kiki, but her name is Tish in the movie. There's a scene where he meets his friend and they're having a subtle conversation over dinner. And just to hear what it's like for black men in America in this country. You know, his friend was charged with a crime and they try to say he stole a car, but he didn't steal no car. He couldn't even drive. But because he had weed on him, he had to take one of the charges. Right. So it just goes to show how they kept putting us in the system. But there was a look on his friend's face, man, that spoke volumes. And there were no words during this specific time. This is what I mean by you insert yourself into this movie because of what would be considered dead space. You know, it gives you a lot of time for reflection and interjection into what's going on. And I just thought these scenes were very critical. Again, the mother and father relationship, the father and daughter, which a lot of times today, a lot of these women have daddy issues because dads ain't around. So in the 70s, when you took and put a man in prison, this was also during the welfare era when the men started having to leave the house so that the benefits can be there. So it was very, very simple back then because it was all relative to love and nothing else. Love rules the day.
So you said at the beginning, you said that the movie like related to now, but it was based in the 70s. How did it? Because
we're still being railroaded in the prison system. They can't possibly try all of these cases. So they force you to take a plea deal. Right? If all of these cases came into the court, you know what I mean? The court system would literally collapse. But yet they do get a lot of these people on trumped up charges, and these trumped up charges, and you tired of fighting it, so you wind up taking some kind of plea deal just so you can do your time and get home, but your life is never the same after that. Right? So you see racism in this movie. You see discrimination in this movie. You see injustice in this movie, all layered under love. So love has to rise to the top and be the cream to get you over these specific humps. And you know, the issues of just men and women, what we have to go through to keep this together. And young people in particular do not have the patience today to understand what it takes to layer and go through the different cycles so that we may earn each other's trust and earn each other's respect, so that when we give ourselves to each other, sky's the limit. You know what I mean? Like couples that's been together 20, 30, 40 years, they understand what the secret sauce is. You know what I mean? That it's not always going to be glorious. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be, fancy. But if love continues to rule the day, all else will dissipate. You know what I mean? So I think young people have too many predetermined notions, what's going on over here, what my friends is doing, not knowing that their friends ain't got it together. It just appears that their friends have it together, impatient. Oh, he not doing this. I need that. I need the bag. I need my man to do this and that. She didn't need none of that. He lived in a basement apartment, you know what I mean, trying to get it together, and she was willing to go there with him to help get that done. You know what I mean? There was a scene, a couple of, when we were speaking on our last lecture about the Jewish influence, there were a couple of scenes, because most of the white people in this movie were treacherous, you know what I mean? But there's a scene where there's a good Samaritan Jew who, you know what I'm saying, offers his help and gets them a loft, or is willing to give them a loft. And I didn't understand why that scene was in the movie. I understand now. There's no way you're going to go into Hollywood, right?
Right.
And paint pictures of us that are bad at our expense. So if you want to do this movie, Barry Jenkins, great. Tell a story, but there's always, if you notice, there's always a hero. Go to the movie Black Panther. The CIA agent happened to be, like, he didn't even belong there.
Right.
You know, like, what is he doing here? But they had to interject him into the story to kind of show the heroic white person from time to time. So there was a lawyer, a young lawyer who was fighting, and then there was this small hat, as they say, the Jewish guy with the, you know, piece on, who showed love and compassion for him and his woman, and he thanked them. You know what I mean? Because of all the discrimination they had previously faced, you know, coming up. So it dealt with that aspect, and I understand. So don't get, for those who like to nitpick and find one thing wrong in the movie,
Right.
you have to understand, I'm not going to let you come into my house and talk about me. I'm just not.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could talk around me, but you ain't going to talk about me in my own house. And those are kind of the components when we start dealing with the Jewish experience in Hollywood and the movie industry. If they run that, they run that.
Right.
So you have to be careful of how you navigate through that. So, you know, back to the movie itself, they don't show us in those capacities in Hollywood love stories. We either, you know, acting funny, buffooning for jokes. This is a pure love story, and I want you to go out with your significant other, and I want you to see it. You know what I mean? I don't really wave the flag for a lot of movies. I done seen it twice. I'm ready to get a couples retreat going to see it again and have a discussion in reference to it.
Right.
And also lost in the mix is young people don't come ask elders for help anymore. There used to be a, you know, you would come to your elders about love and, you know what I'm saying, to be counseled. And we don't have that anymore. The young people trying to figure it out on their own, and the old people don't give a shit half the damn time. So that connection you see in the movie, you know what I mean?
Right.
When Regina Bell said, love brought you this far, it will, you know what I'm saying? You have to believe in that. And there's a scene in the bar where the two fathers are trying to figure out how they're going to get this money together for this lawyer.
Right.
You know what I mean? And one father says to the other one, man, we ain't got no money. You said, nigga, have we ever had any money? No, then what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
We ain't never had no money, and it ain't never stopped us. Money is not the foundation for what moves us. Our belief in each other. And he said, listen, man, you know what I'm saying? We do it without the money. They trying to keep us from having the money. Our shit is based on not having the money. And then he said, man, we gonna take care of this. You got some hustles. I got some hustles. Let's get together and hit these streets, because your son is in prison. My daughter wants to marry him, and I want our families to be together. And then they went out and did what they had to do, you know what I mean, to make sure that they had what they had. You know what I mean? Also in the movie, Regina Bell gave
Regina
King birthed the baby. You know what I mean? We don't see that anymore, and it just was a magical scene for her to be, you know, Tish to be holding the baby. You know what I'm saying? The father's still locked up. You know what I mean? So it really touched the nerve in a great way, and it was a change of pace of all the chaos that we see in Hollywood today. And the movie only cost $12 million to make.
Wow.
And it's still in limited theaters, you know, which is kind of weird. To me, it should be everywhere.
Usually the most, like, I guess, like, what they call Oscar bait movies, They usually get real limited runs.
That's true. That's true. That's why I also have a feeling that this movie. I'm surprised the score was not even nominated for a Golden Globe.
Oh, okay.
Listen. The music alone is worth the admission. Nicholas Britell. The music alone is worth the admission. I have never listened to the score of a movie 50 times. You know what I mean? Because every time I listen to it, I hear something different. You know what I mean? It takes me back to a scene in the movie, and we all can relate there as elders. We've been in love. We've been out of love. We've been in situations where love is the only thing we had. We could barely pay the light bill, but this and that. But we got this love, and this love is going to see us through. So, again, that's just my general review on the movie. Go see it. I know you were supposed to go see it today. You fell under the weather a little bit.
I'm going to go check it out.
Go check that out because it's definitely worth a further discussion, with people going to see it. And nobody was casted out of pocket in this movie. And Tish, Kiki, she was helping a male friend, audition for the movie. And she started reading the lines and was like, well, hell, I like this. That's how spiritual this is. Wow. And then she got an agent and she got it to Barry Jenkins. And he said, that's my Tish. That's my Tish. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just goes to show you, when the moment is right, you show up when you're supposed to show up. Because I'm not sure anybody could have pulled that off for the first run.
Right.
Like, this is your first shot at this. Usually that's a seasoned vet that has to cover that. So, she put it in, man. And Fonnie was amazing. I think everybody should look at their loved one at least once a day like he looked at Tish. You know what I mean? Those of us who 20, 30 years in, hey, honey, yeah. No, there needs to be a moment. Young people still can do it from when they're not looking at themselves through a selfie or whatever the fuck that is. You know what I mean? Once a day, you need to look at your significant other with those eyes. You know what I mean? And it really, really comes through in this movie. So I'm really telling everybody to go see it, man. Go see it, please. Go see it. Okay. Any other questions on that?
No. That's it. I mean, I didn't see the movie, so
you didn't see the movie, so you really can't ask. All right, so with that being said, of course, this is the Black Dot. These are my chronicles. This is my story. I'm sticking to it. Peace.
Peace. This has been Urban X. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And after you guys see the movie, hit me up, and we can have a discussion.
Definitely.
Peace.
Peace.